Hello and welcome to today's session of how to fix your blankety blank blank Samsung refrigerator. Um, I made this because I could not find good information on this specific model, and a lot of the information that was out there was steering it towards the wrong model and the wrong information. So in this short video, we're going to address how to fix a clogged drain, which the symptom that I was experiencing was ice building up under the chef pantry drawer. So every time I opened that big wide drawer, a sheet of ice would come out and crash on the floor. Um, Through that process, I'm going to also have to remove the water filter assembly. I'm going to clean the drain trough where the water drains out or supposed to. I'm going to replace the lower drain tubes. I'm going to clean out the fans and and compressor areas behind the fridge and replace some of the filters. As always, follow at your own risk. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a repair person. I'm just hacking away at it till I get the results I need. So you've been warned. At the bottom of the screen is a link to the actual manual itself. So you might have to type that in. And then from a difficulty perspective, it's pretty easy. It's more annoying than hard. It's about 2 hours top to bottom doing everything, but about 5 minutes if you just want to replace the drain tubes. Um, Cost is about $15. So it's not an expensive repair, just an annoying repair. If you don't already own this fridge, don't get it. Run away. It's for me anyway. It's been nothing but horrible. You can see the list here, but just every few months something else goes wrong with it. That if I called a repair technician would be $400 for every service call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so $5,000 in repairs if I had outsourced this. Um, Again, what I ran into Googling around and looking at the AI solutions, they say that you have to replace a heating element. You don't. This has a completely different heating system. This is the tri metal cooling system, blah, blah, blah. This is not the twin cooling system. Um, so it doesn't need all of the gear necessary to replace the heating element. All it needs is these tubes that you see at the bottom. Uh, so you need to replace one of these and you need to replace two of these, and that's it. So if you just want to take a shortcut, skip to step number 6 and you can start from there. First, of course, you got to empty the fridge. This is the hardest part, the most time consuming part. These are giant fridges, and depending the last time you cleaned it out, there's a lot of stuff in there that you got to find another home for. We have two other refrigerators and an upright freezer that we have drink beverages in and things like that on different floors of the house, and we still couldn't find room for everything. So take out all the food from all the doors, all the freezer, every shelf you've got, every nook and cranny. You want a completely empty refrigerator. You want to unplug it and pull it away from the wall. And then you're going to need to wait about 2 days is what they recommend for just everything to thaw out. So open it up, just let all the ice melt, let everything come to room temperature, so that there's no more ice anywhere in there. And then if once you're done with that, if there's any water hanging around, here or anywhere else, just clean that up. Next, you want to go through and remove all the easy shelves. And I put easy in quotes because none of these shelves are easy to remove, but some are easier than others. So then you need to find a home for all these shelves while you work on the refrigerator, and gives you a good chance to um, deep clean them. So in our case, 6 months ago, we spilled some soy sauce that dripped onto all the shelves. Finally has a chance for us to get in there and get it all cleaned. Be careful. We found out on this round that if you put one of the shelves that have the blue molding on it, it delaminates and just peels right off and looks like crap. So now we've got one drawer that looks horrible because the blue coloring has peeled off. So, yippee. Um, you really technically only have to clean the top half to get to where we have to get to, but as long as you're in here, you might as well, for a bonus round, clean all the freezer shelves, pull them out, and give them a good scrub down as well. And just remember, um, and I'm sure you know if you own this lovely fridge, that they're fragile as heck. So be careful taking them out. Somehow I took out a freezer drawer. You lift them out and pull them out. It's not a big deal. It snapped off a little retention foot on one of the drawers. Again, you look at it funny and the thing cracks. This is the hardest part, and it's not bad, but you have to remove the water filter assembly. Um, and then that allows you to get the final shelf out, which allows you to get to the screws that you need to get to the defroster unit. Um, so I'll show you on the next slide here, but there's two screws at the back. You need to take these screws out, and then you kind of grip it here, wiggle it back and forth while lifting up, and then you can kind of pull that out and set it aside. That then allows you to get to a point where you can take out this blue cover over the chef shelf. Say that 3 times fast. And the manual had a pretty good image of it. So you kind of push up at the bottom from underneath, and then that gives you enough room to pull the pins out on either side and remove that tray. Once you have that tray out, now you can remove this whole shelf. Hopefully that makes some sense. Once you remove that shelf, now there's nothing supporting this assembly. So I grabbed a dog toy so I could prop it up to keep from putting too much tension on these tubes and these wires back here while I worked on the fridge. So your next step is to remove these two screws that are holding the cover that covers the defroster unit. 1, 2. And then you're going to gently pry off this panel. So there's a little arrow here where it shows where to put the pry mark in. I just gripped it and kind of tugged gently but firmly, if that makes sense. You don't have to take the whole thing out. You just need to get back into this little crevice back here. Once you get to that crevice, well, your target is this drain hole right here. So you can see this is a really robust heating element. It's not like the one that's on the other websites and internet. So it's totally a different unit completely. This is going to defrost anything that needs to be defrosted. And then it all drains out down this little drain hole here. So I just took a pipe cleaner, shoved it in that hole, ringed it around a few times, and pulled it back out just to make sure that there was nothing physical clogging it. In my case, there wasn't. Now we need to go to the back, and we're going to replace the rear drain pipes. This is likely where your problem is. So you pull the refrigerator out so you can get back there. There's half a dozen screws. I don't know for sure that I have them all highlighted here with arrows, but you'll see them. You take those screws out, then this just kind of lifts up and set it aside, and you end up with seeing this lovely mess back here. So your target is to remove these drain pipes. So there's one drain pipe assembly here. It's just a really flexible tube. You just grab it and pull down. The hard part is there's two pipes coming down here, and these are likely the ones that are clogged with these little nub caps on them. And so hopefully you've got really long fingers or really small hands. There's not a lot of room here. And so you reach back in, grab this cap, then you drop it in the icky, gross water here, and then you spend 20 minutes trying to fish it out of the water. No, but if you grip it well enough, hopefully that doesn't happen. But you can see these caps are cracked and corroded and clogged. There's no way that anything is passing through these caps. And that is the issue. When you pull it out, when I pulled this one out, just tons of water just came gushing out into this drain pan, which is okay. I mean, it'll evaporate, but just don't be surprised when you pull this out that water comes rushing out. So all I really needed were these caps. Um, and I had bought a kit based on other videos I saw for the wrong model. So I just had to take this replacement pipe, pull the cap off, and then separate the cap from this other, I don't know what to call it, it's a float valve basically. I just needed this. So then you have to kind of reverse that process, get your hands in there and snug those caps on as best you can. I'm not sure about orientation. Probably doesn't matter too much. The point with these caps is just so it drips into the drip tray and evaporates as opposed to a gush of water. Uh, because I bought a kit that had two, I didn't have enough of these new caps. So one of these nubs wasn't horrible. I forget which one it was. I think this one. And I just cleaned it out really good with that uh, bottle brush pipe cleaner and shoved it back on over here where I can get to it later if it ends up clogging. So I don't even know where these drains come from. I assume one comes from the freezer and one comes from the um, uh, refrigerator area, and probably one comes from the ice maker, is my guess. The other thing you want to do is use something like a turkey baster and run a little bit of hot water down here just to make sure it flows freely um, down the down the trough and through the hole and out to the right drain pipe. So I had someone in the back of the fridge squirt a little water in there, and is it running fast and clear? Yep. Okay, cool. So now we know we've got an unobstructed pipe. Finally, while we got the cover off, get an air compressor and give everything in here a good blast, especially around these heat sinks. Um, Compressor motor, the fans, the vents. This fan here is all clogged up. And it was making a lot of noise for a couple of years, so I think it finally seized until I blasted it with the air compressor. This is just totally caked with stuff, so blast that. I think it's a heat sink of some sort. And then you got vents on the other side. So give it all a good blast with the air compressor. You're going to get dust everywhere, and your spouse is going to yell at you, but that's a different topic. As long as you're in here ripping stuff out, there are two air filters in the refrigerator area and two air filters in the freezer area. I forgot to take a picture of the ones in the freezer area, but they look very similar. I would suggest you buy new ones, have them at hand, and just replace them. The instructions say you technically can rinse them out, but they have to dry completely, especially the ones in the freezer area. So if you take them out, put them out in the sun for 2 or 3, 4, 6 hours, 2 days, I don't know. But even then, after I scrubbed the heck out of them, they still smelled a little funky. So I would suggest just having some new ones at hand. Um, the other thing I've gotten questions on in the past, and so I'll just answer it here, is what's going on with this foil around my ice maker. So if you have one of these, the biggest problem is that this ice maker jams all the time. And the reason it's jamming, according to one of the service bulletins, is uh, humidity and moisture is getting in there and causing frost. So, um, they came out, they serviced it, they put the caulk on the inside that's supposed to prevent that from happening. Every 4 to 6 weeks, it would still freeze up and jam. So I said, okay, why don't I take it one step further? It's ugly. Okay, you get used to it. I took some insulation pads and wrapped the ice maker insulation pads, and then I took some caulking tape and sealed it around all the sides and the back, right? So now instead of every 4 to 6 weeks, it freezes up every 8 to 12 weeks. But I still have to get in there with a hair dryer regularly every couple months and defrost this whole section until everything is completely melted. Then I'm good for another 3 months. Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy. These are the parts I used. Again, I bought a kit that had different website recommended. It's the wrong kit. I just needed this little black piece here. I needed 4 of them. So you could get 2 of these kits and just pull it all apart. Use these 2 if you can't find the right stuff. These are the wraps I used on the ice maker. Not a big deal. And again, I didn't buy them yet, but I would try to find the refrigerator filters and the freezer filters. They are different ones. They look similar, but one has activated charcoal in it for the freezer, and the refrigerator one just looks like a metal, I don't know, catch-all something. That's it. There is not much else to it. Now we've got to put all the shelves back in. Of course, if I skipped over that step, but yeah, you got to put it all back together, right? So, once you're done, put everything back in place. Yeah, I missed that step. All right, so put everything back where you found it, and now you got a nice new fridge, and you can start over again. And even looking at this picture, I notice I don't see any lights down here, so yeah, there's probably some light bulb somewhere that needs to be replaced, but that is a topic for a different day. Hopefully that gets you a little bit more life out of this lovely fridge. We built our entire kitchen around an opening for this fridge, and so I looked. There's nothing that is this size. They're either bigger or substantially smaller. So in order for me to replace this fridge, I would have to also do a partial remodel of the kitchen, which I'm not ready to take on yet. So I'll keep hacking at it, keep it alive as long as I can. I wish you luck on your repair. That's all I got.